One of the most dangerous places to live in the world is Aleppo, a Syrian city under siege. In an account from Omar Shaban, a former student at the University of Aleppo, living conditions mean a lack of fuel, gas, or electricity, constant threat of airstrikes and snipers, and possible starvation. And unfortunately, these living conditions don't just exist in Aleppo, but across the entire nation of Syria. As since the beginning of the Syrian civil conflict, the Associated Press has reported more than 450,000 killed, 11 million more displaced from their homes, and an estimated $250 billion of material war damage. However, the White Helmets offer some hope in opposition-held areas of Syria where they're saving lives. I first heard of the White Helmets and realized the magnitude of the situation in Syria while watching the 2017 Academy Awards, where the winner of documentary short subject was about a growing organization in Syria that was saving lives. Not only would I go on to watch that film, but a year later write a paper about intervention in Syria. Today I'd like to discuss with you the problems in Syria that Syrian citizens face today, specifically regarding the risk to their safety and well-being on a daily basis, and also an easy way you can support countless heroes who risk everything to save their lives. First, I'd like to discuss the situation that has developed in Syria that has claimed so many lives. As you may remember, hundreds of thousands of people have been killed, millions have been displaced from their homes, and billions of dollars of damage has been done. This is in large part due to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, who launches attacks against his own people. Beirut bureau chief of the New York Times, Ben Hubbard, reported a chemical attack that struck a neighborhood east of Damascus, which many aid groups after the attack accused the Assad government of conducting. Also, Michael O'Hanlon, a director of foreign policy research, reported several bombings in a suburb within Damascus that killed hundreds of people, many of them innocent. This is another example of the bloodshed the Assad regime has conducted on their own people. However, beyond just the Assad regime, there has been a reported of communicable diseases that have outbreaking across Syria. Researcher of infectious diseases at Johns Hopkins, Simon Sherera, reports that measles, meningitis, polio, and hepatitis B, among many other diseases, are among those that have spread through vulnerable populations in Syria. And she also reports in the same journal that since the beginning of the conflict, of the 1.8 million children that have been born, over 50% are unvaccinated, making them susceptible to these diseases, and stressing the urgency of the situation. Now that I've cast a light on the problems in Syria, I'd like to now transition to discussing the White Helmets and how you can support them. Now, the White Helmets have already made a difference in Syria, as they have saved many lives and provided them with the necessary resources for survival. On their webpage, they have claimed to have saved over 100,000 people in a short span of 5 years, an incredible number for such a short amount of time. However, the services they conduct are not without risk. As reported on New Year's Eve of 2017 by Daniel Uria from the United Press International, unknown gunmen shot and killed 7 members of the White Helmets. Also, according to their webpage, 252 volunteers have died in active duty, and these volunteers were bakers, tailors, carpenters, and other common folk just like you and me, who risked everything for a cause they felt so deeply about. Now I'd like to discuss with you an easy way you can support them, and that is by watching the documentary that I watched, titled The White Helmets. It is available on Netflix, and by watching it and supporting them through this way, you prove to Netflix that there is demand for content on the White Helmets and the situation in Syria. You also, by watching the documentary, are more inclined to financially donate to them through their website and spread awareness on their cause to family and friends on social platforms. According to the National Review, funding towards the White Helmets has been cut off due to an overall freeze in humanitarian aid to Syria, making your support as necessary as ever. Now, I know in these dark times, it may be difficult for you to think about a problem that is so far away in the world. However, during these dark times, we cannot lose our humanity and neglect the terrors going on in Syria, because by doing so, the consequences may grow to be too great to address later on. And there's no better time than now, while we are all in quarantine together, to watch a 41-minute documentary on the White Helmets. Now, the Syrian citizens face today attacks from their own government, an onslaught of diseases, and are trapped in a bloody civil war that shows no signs of slowing down. However, the White Helmets offer a ray of hope, and as described by William Blysick, a film reviewer, are the expression of an indomitable human spirit. And by supporting them by watching their documentary, you may ultimately save a life. Now, when I leave you today, I want you to remember three things. I want you to remember Omar Shaban, a Syrian student just like me and you, who lives every day in constant turmoil and never knows if you'll see tomorrow. I also want you to remember the 252 brave and selfless volunteers who gave their lives to the White Helmets. And I also want you to remember this one final statistic, that over 100,000 people owe their lives to the organization. Now, every conflict has two sides, and by choosing to stand with the White Helmets, you choose to stand on the side of the peacemakers and the heroes. Thank you for your time.